Do you know that feeling grateful before something happens can actually make it manifest faster? Most people wait for their desires to show up before they feel good, but Neville Goddard revealed a powerful secret that flips this process entirely, the "Isn't it wonderful" technique. This simple yet incredibly effective method taps into the power of assumption and emotion, allowing you to shift into the reality where your desires are already fulfilled. Instead of begging the universe or doubting when it will happen, you align with the feeling of already having it, right now. In this video, I'll break down exactly how to use "Isn't it wonderful" to manifest anything fast and why this Neville Goddard secret works like magic. Stay with me till the very end because the last step is what makes the difference between instant results and endless waiting. Ready to unlock this manifestation hack? Let's dive in. Alright, let's get into the real magic behind Neville Goddard's "Isn't it wonderful" technique. This isn't just some fluffy affirmation you say once and hope for the best. No, this is about stepping into a whole new state of being, one where your inner world is drenched in the certainty that life is conspiring in your favor. Not just occasionally. Not just when you see signs. But right now, in this very moment, without needing proof. So, how do you actually assume this inner attitude? How do you make it your dominant state instead of a fleeting wish? It starts with something so simple yet so profound: letting go of the fight. The struggle. The overanalyzing. The doubting. That constant mental chatter that asks, is this working? Did I do it right? Where's my manifestation? It's gotta go. Because the moment you question whether things are unfolding, you've already stepped out of the knowing that they are. Think of it like this: when you're in love, you don't wake up every morning wondering, am I really in love? No. You just feel it. It's woven into your being. That's the level of certainty you need to cultivate when it comes to assuming that everything is unfolding beautifully. You don't check for evidence. You don't force anything. You just know. And this knowing? It's not passive. It's an energy, a frequency you embody. It means waking up and feeling, really feeling, like life is working out for you in ways you can't even imagine. It means carrying a quiet excitement, a subtle thrill, like you're waiting for a surprise that's already guaranteed. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about a shift in identity. It's about seeing yourself as the person who already lives in the reality of their desires. You no longer look at your dreams as something separate, something out there in the future. You internalize them as real, present, and inevitable. Doubt doesn't stand a chance. Impatience fades into the background. Because when you truly assume this inner attitude, there's no sense of waiting. There's no gap between you and what you want. You're already living it internally, in the outer world. It has to catch up. And here's the thing, this shift isn't something you do once and then go back to your old patterns. It's something you become. It's about carrying yourself differently, thinking differently, responding to life differently. Instead of reacting with frustration when things seem off, you smile, because you know, really know, that even the so-called delays are part of the unfolding. You see, when you walk through life with this deep inner certainty, things move fast. Really fast. Why? Because you're not getting in your own way. You're not energetically repelling your desires with neediness, resistance, or a scarcity mindset. Instead, you're operating from the most magnetic place possible, already fulfilled. The external world? It's just a mirror. It must reflect your inner state. When you carry the assumption that everything is wonderfully unfolding, life bends to that belief. It reshapes itself to match the frequency you've locked in. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. People show up exactly when you need them. Paths that seemed impossible suddenly open wide. And what once felt like wishful thinking, it becomes your reality. So, breathe into this truth. Relax into it. Stop trying to force or micromanage the process. Step into the knowing, right here, right now, that everything is lining up for you in ways beyond what your logical mind can grasp. Because once you do that, the universe has no choice but to deliver. Alright, let's talk about the magic of a simple phrase, isn't it wonderful? At first glance, it might seem too basic, too easy, maybe even a little silly. But here's the thing, simplicity is powerful. In this phrase, it's not just a collection of words. It's a portal, a shift, a way to snap yourself into a new reality, a new state of being, without needing any external proof. So, how do you actually use "isn't it wonderful" in a way that makes things move fast? The key is repetition. Not robotic, mindless repetition. Not just throwing the words around while still feeling doubtful or disconnected. No, this is about using it as a mental anchor, something that locks you into the feeling of already having what you desire. Imagine your mind as a river. Most of the time, it's flowing all over the place, jumping from thoughts of doubt, to impatience, to memories of the past, to worries about the future. And that scattered energy, it keeps you stuck. But the moment you drop "isn't it wonderful" into that mental current, it's like placing a steady rock in the stream. It redirects everything. It slows the chaos and centers you in one clear, powerful focus, fulfillment. The trick is to not just say the words, but to feel them. Let them settle into your bones. Let them paint an inner landscape where everything is already unfolding in your favor. Whisper them in your mind when you wake up. Let them echo in your thoughts throughout the day. Say them in those in-between moments, when you're walking, when you're waiting, when your mind starts drifting toward old doubts. And here's what happens: the more you use it, the more automatic it becomes. It starts to replace the old mental loops of worry, lack, and frustration. It rewires your thinking. It becomes the background music of your life, playing quietly, yet powerfully, in the depths of your subconscious. Now, let's talk about why this phrase works so well. First, it's a question. But not just any question, a leading one. It doesn't ask, "Will things work out?" Or "Is this possible?" Those questions leave room for doubt. "Isn't it wonderful?" assumes the outcome is already here. It tricks the mind into searching for proof of its truth, whether or not you have any yet. And guess what? The mind always finds what it looks for. Second, it carries a built-in emotional shift. There's something light, joyful, even playful about it. It doesn't force anything. It doesn't demand. It simply allows. It invites you into a state where wonderful things are the norm, not the exception. And most importantly, it dissolves resistance. You don't have to figure out how things will unfold. You don't have to stress about timing. You don't have to battle with the usual mental chatter of, "But what if it doesn't happen?" The moment you drop into "Isn't it wonderful?" you step outside of all that. You bypass the struggle. You go straight to the end, the feeling of already having, and you stay there. That's where the real shift happens. When this phrase becomes second nature, when it becomes your inner resting place, everything starts aligning. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities multiply. The outer world reshapes itself to match the inner. And you're not waiting anymore. You're living from the wish fulfilled. And when you do that, reality has no choice but to follow. Let's talk about feeling. Because when it comes to manifesting, especially when using Neville Goddard's "Isn't it wonderful" method, your feelings aren't just important. They're everything. You can say the words all day long, but if they're empty, if they don't stir something inside you, they're just noise. No magic. No movement. Just words floating in the void. So how do you make "Isn't it wonderful" actually work for you? You let it do something inside you. You let it crack open a space in your heart. You let it sink in, spread out, and ripple through your entire being. And the easiest way to do that? Gratitude. Not forced gratitude. Not the kind where you sit there, trying to think of things to be grateful for while your mind drifts back to old worries. No, this is deeper. This is about using "Isn't it wonderful?" to trigger an automatic wave of gratitude, without needing a reason, without needing proof, without waiting for circumstances to change first. Close your eyes for a moment. Say the words to yourself. Isn't it wonderful? Let them settle. Don't rush past them. Just sit with them. And now, instead of thinking about what is wonderful, shift into the feeling of something wonderful happening, something so good, so fulfilling, that it sends warmth through your chest. No details. No overthinking. Just the sensation. What happens? If you let it, a little spark ignites. A slight lift in your energy. A quiet hum of excitement, like a secret only you know. That's gratitude in its purest form, appreciation for being, rather than for any specific thing. And this is where the real power is. Because when you stop waiting for external reasons to feel good and instead generate the feeling first, life has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Here's the thing, gratitude isn't just a reaction. It's a creative force. Most people think of it as something you feel after receiving something good. But when you flip the script, when you start feeling grateful before anything has changed, you tap into the very energy that makes things happen. You become magnetic. You start radiating a kind of certainty that bends reality to match it. And isn't it wonderful? Is the perfect trigger for this. Because it bypasses the logical mind, the part that wants to analyze, question, and doubt. It doesn't ask if things are wonderful, it assumes they already are. And when you assume something is already true, your body, your emotions, your subconscious mind, they all believe it. They fall into alignment with it. And that's when you start feeling it, this deep, rich, effortless gratitude bubbling up from within. It's subtle at first. A whisper, a warmth, a slight shift in perception. But the more you sit with it, the stronger it gets. It spreads. Expands. Fills every corner of your being. And before you know it, you're not just saying "Isn't it wonderful?" You're living it. You're carrying it in the way you walk, in the way you breathe, in the way you interact with the world. And here's the kicker, when you operate from this space, life moves differently. Doors open. Things click. What once felt out of reach suddenly feels inevitable. Not because you forced anything, not because you chased or struggled, but because you became the version of you that already has it. And that version isn't waiting. That version is already basking in the wonder of it all. Alright, let's get real, this is where most people stumble. It's easy to feel wonderful when everything around you is lining up, when life is giving you signs, when things seem to be unfolding exactly as you hoped. But what about when nothing is happening? Or worse, when things appear to be going in the opposite direction? That's when the real test begins. That's when most people throw in the towel, deciding that maybe this whole manifesting thing isn't working after all. But here's the truth, it's always working. It's just that sometimes, reality takes a moment to catch up. And the last thing you want to do is abandon your state, the very energy that's shaping your future, just because things look a certain way right now. You see, the outer world is a reflection, not a cause. What's showing up in your life right now? That's just old energy, old beliefs, old assumptions playing out. Like an echo from a past version of you. If you react to it, if you let it shake you, doubt you, pull you back into your old way of thinking, you're just reinforcing it. You're keeping the cycle alive. But if you refuse, if you stand firm in the knowing that something wonderful is unfolding, no matter what your senses are telling you, That's when things start shifting. That's when reality has to bend, because you're no longer feeding the old. You're staying locked into the new, the unseen, the inevitable. And that's exactly why persistence is everything. Not persistence in doing, not frantic action, not forcing things, but persistence in feeling. Holding on to that inner sense of isn't it wonderful? Even when the world around you gives you every reason to feel otherwise. So how do you do it? How do you keep that wonderful feeling alive when external circumstances try to pull you down? First, you remind yourself that what you see right now is temporary. It's a snapshot of the past, not a predictor of the future. The real shift has already happened, inside you. And because of that, the external world must follow. It has no choice. Second, you stop seeking evidence. You don't need proof. You don't need reassurance. You are the proof. Your state of being is all that matters. If you truly feel wonderful, if you truly believe in your heart that everything is unfolding for you, then whether or not you see it in the moment is irrelevant. The outcome is already done. Third, you anchor yourself in trust. Not blind trust. Not hoping or wishing. But a deep, unshakable certainty. The same way you trust the sun will rise tomorrow, even if it's hidden behind clouds. You don't doubt it. You don't question it. You just know. That's the level of faith you bring to this. That's the kind of inner conviction that speeds things up. And finally, when doubt creeps in, when circumstances tempt you to react, when impatience tries to take over, you double down on the feeling. You don't just hold on to it, you amplify it. You make it even stronger, even richer, even more real. You let isn't it wonderful become your shield, your mantra, your inner sanctuary that nothing external can shake. Because that's how you win this game. You don't let reality dictate how you feel. You dictate reality by persisting in how you feel. And when you do that, the world has no choice but to catch up. Let's talk about trust. Not the kind of trust where you cross your fingers and hope things work out. Not the kind where you say, I believe, but let me just double-check reality one more time. No, this is a different kind of trust. This is knowing. This is stepping so fully into the feeling of your wish fulfilled that doubt doesn't even get a seat at the table. Because here's the thing, when you shift your consciousness, you automatically shift your reality. There's no delay in that. The moment you embody a new state, it's done. The only reason you don't see instant results is that the physical world takes a second to catch up. It's like a shadow, your state moves first, and reality follows. So, the real question isn't will it work? It's are you willing to trust the process long enough for it to unfold? Most people get caught in a loop. They step into the feeling for a moment, maybe even a few hours or days. They feel wonderful. But then, nothing happens, or so it seems. They check their surroundings, see no visible proof, and immediately assume maybe I did something wrong. Maybe this isn't working. And boom, just like that, they snap back into their old state, unknowingly slowing everything down. The key? Stay put. Stay locked into the knowing that this shift in consciousness is enough. That simply being in the state of isn't it wonderful is all the work required. Because when you remain in that state, the outer world must rearrange itself to match it. Now, here's where it gets fun. When you fully trust, things start happening fast. Not in a forced, frantic way, but in a natural, effortless flow. Why? Because you're not resisting anymore. You're not second-guessing. You're not pinching off the very energy that creates the shift in the first place. It's like opening the floodgates. The moment you stop doubting, stop needing results to validate your state, the universe doesn't trickle in your desires, it rushes them in. Because that's the natural order of things. Manifestation isn't slow. It's not something that takes years of struggle or endless repetition of techniques. It's instant. The only delay is the one created by doubt, by hesitation, by constantly looking for proof instead of standing firm in the knowing. And let's be clear, trust doesn't mean you force yourself to believe. It doesn't mean you grit your teeth and try really hard to feel wonderful. No. True trust is relaxed. It's light. It's easy. It's the deep sigh of relief that comes when you stop grasping and finally let things unfold. So, how do you embody this level of trust? You let go of the timeline. You stop watching the clock, measuring progress, keeping score. The moment you shift into the state of "isn't it wonderful?" is the moment your manifestation is set in motion. From there, your only job is to enjoy it, to stay in that state, to let the feeling be enough. You also stop looking to the outside world for confirmation. The only confirmation you need is inside you. If you feel wonderful, if you feel the truth of your desire already fulfilled, then it is fulfilled. The external world will catch up in its own perfect way, at its own perfect speed. And most importantly, you stay light about it. You don't make this a chore, a struggle, or a test. You make it a game, a dance, a delightful unfolding. Because when you do that, you move out of resistance and into flow. And once you're in that flow, nothing can stop what's already yours. Isn't it wonderful? 3 simple words that shift your state instantly. Neville Goddard knew that when you embrace this feeling, you bypass doubt and align with your desires effortlessly. The secret isn't in the words themselves, but in the feeling they create. If this video resonated with you, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss powerful manifestation insights. And tell me in the comments, what's something wonderful you're claiming today? Remember, the feeling is the secret. Live in the joy of fulfillment, and watch your world transform. Keep believing, and I'll see you in the next one.